Hi! Hey y'all! How you doing? My name is Julianne, also known as Roadrunner, and in 2022 I thru-hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, and this year, 2024, I am planning to thru-hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And today I want to talk about my fears or my worries when it comes to attempting the Pacific Crest Trail thru-hike. So I am going into my Pacific Crest Trail thru-hike almost as though I am a brand new thru-hiker. Why? Because the Appalachian Trail is quite different than the Pacific Crest Trail. If you don't know, the biggest difference is that this trail right here, the Appalachian Trail, or the Appalachian Mountain Range, is one of the oldest mountain ranges in the entire world. In fact, it is estimated to be 1.2 billion years old versus the Sierra Mountain Range, as well as the Cascade Mountain Ranges, are only estimated to be anywhere from 39 to 40 million years old. So therefore, big difference there, right? But a lot of people say, well, the Pacific Crest Trail is so much more difficult because the mountains are a lot higher. Well, I don't think that really defines the difficulty, but let's talk about that. Yes, the Appalachian Trail mountains are not very high. Why? Because they're old and erosion kind of made them shrink. So the highest spot on the Appalachian Trail is Clingman's Dome, and it is around 6,643 feet high. Now, the highest point in the Sierra or Pacific Crest Trail area, and it's actually not on the Pacific Crest Trail, but you have to take a side trail, is Mount Whitney, which is around 14,505 feet high. So that's like double. And so I can see how people would say that this is a lot more difficult. And I'm not saying the Pacific Crest Trail is not any more difficult, but honestly, there's a big difference between both of them. The AT is known to be like a continuous roller coaster. It just goes up and down and up and down. And I mean, I've not been on the Pacific Crest Trail, so I can't say, but a lot of people say that the Pacific Crest Trail has more like gradual, but very, very long ascents and descents. So like on the AT, it's like 1 mile, what? And then 2 miles down, whoop! And so I guess like the Pacific Crest Trail looks like it's like 14 miles up, 15 miles down, something more like that. So it's more of a gradual kind of ascent, descent. But you know, you're just gonna have to be a marathoner to make it up those continuous ascents. But another big difference is the AT is more considered like a green tunnel because you're going through all kinds of greenery, like trees, brush. But the Pacific Crest Trail, since it's higher, it has more scenic views, but you're also more exposed. There's not that many green tunnels that you're going to hike through. There will be as you get further north, but the beginning of the Pacific Crest Trail, for example, is considered a desert. So it's a big difference, right? So now that I bored you with telling you the difference between both trails because you probably already knew the differences, I'm going to tell you what I'm worried about. And my first fear is something that a lot of people don't even talk about because it's probably nothing to worry about, which is avalanches. I have not heard people talk about being caught in an avalanche on their Pacific Crest Trail thru hikes. So it's probably something that I shouldn't even think about, but I do. And, you know, I'm one of those people that looks at videos on how to survive an avalanche. And as I understand, you ultimately only have 30 minutes once being caught by an avalanche to survive. And, you know, I do have one of those Garmin messenger beacon things, but if you've watched Dixie from Homemade Wanderlust, she recently pushed the SOS button and the helicopter didn't get to her until hours later. 30 minutes ain't gonna do nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna bring one of those Garmin thingamajiggies, but it's not gonna make a big difference. So I am worried about avalanches. The good thing is I will have a hiking partner, so I mean, I guess they would be getting caught in an avalanche as well, but I don't know. It's just one of my fears, and I'm trying to not think about it, but it is something that I do worry about. My second fear is injuries. And I'm only worried about it because I recently did a hike on the Foothills Trail, and I went into this hike thinking I am so cool. You know, I'm a thru hiker. I know how to hike. You know, I did have a sense of confidence about my hiking ability, and I did a lot of beginner mistakes. One of the mistakes that I did is that I hiked 21.5 miles on day 3, not having hiked in a while, not being used to it, thinking I can do this. And I did injure and strain my right knee again. And so I'm worried about feeling cocky about my abilities. And so I think though in the end the Foothills Trail hike was a good thing. It did make me realize not to be full of myself and my hiking abilities and to take it slow. And my hiking partner is really into taking the beginning of the hike slow, which is something I didn't want to do when I decided to do the Pacific Crest Trail. If I were to hike it by myself, I was like, I'm going to hike this trail, I'm going to do so many miles, because it's kind of rewarding to do that. But since I have a hiking partner and since having done the Foothills Trail, I understand I need to start out slow and I need to take care of my body. I need to not be cocky about my abilities. I know I can do a through hike. It's not out of my possibilities and I just need to take care of my body. So taking it slow. Now, there are some other things that can be considered an injury, right? So for example, being that the Pacific Crest Trail is at a high elevation, things can arise that would never happen on the Appalachian Trail, such as elevation sickness. I did do a through hike of the Tahoe Rim Trail this year, and it's pretty high, like in the 10,000 feet, not, like 14,000 feet, but in the 10,000 feet. I feel I did pretty well in that. But again, bodies are particular, bodies are fickle at times. So therefore, I am worried about something that will come up that I can't really plan for, such as being dizzy, and just the whole elevation sickness concept is something that I want to take in consideration and that I'm a little bit worried about. In addition to that, I also am a little bit worried about hydration. On the Pacific Crest Trail, at the beginning, you do go through something called a desert. It's about 600 to 700 miles, I believe. And so a desert, hot. I'm from Florida. Again, I feel really cool about I can handle the heat, but I do need to really plan for that. When I talked to my hiking partner recently, they asked me, how much water carrying capacity are you planning to bring? And I was like, 4 liters. And they were like, wow, I thought like a minimum of 6 liters. And again, it's just, I feel like a new hiker when it comes to the Pacific Crest Trail. I was thinking 4 liters is enough, and so now I am going to plan to bring a 6-liter water carrying capacity, and that's just for me to help prevent dehydration and all that comes with it. And of course the heat, there is something called hyperthermia. It is, just as scary as hypothermia, so therefore it is something that I am worried about, but I am starting to really take into consideration as well. Okay, my third fear, I'm gonna just be honest, y'all, and that's grizzly bears / brown bears. I know, you're saying there's not any grizzly bears on the Pacific Crest Trail. Well, might I tell you, you're actually incorrect in that. So let's talk about grizzlies. There are a lot of black bears when it comes to the Pacific Crest Trail, and I'm not really too worried about them. We saw at least 14 black bears on this Appalachian Trail right here. Most of the PCT is gonna have black bears, right? And people say there are no grizzlies on the PCT. That's not true. That's not true. I did research. There are about 15 to 30 grizzly bears in the North Cascades. And it would be my luck, out of all the people, that I would come across a grizzly bear. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not afraid of much. I'm afraid of gators, Florida, and I'm afraid of grizzly bears. I'm not afraid of anything else, really. I'm not really afraid of mountain lions. I'm not really afraid of rattlesnakes. I'm not really afraid of scorpions, all that good stuff. Grizzly bears? I'm scared. And like I said, it would be my luck to come across one of those 15 to 30 grizzly bears, and if one of them was looking at me with their eyes, I would just not be able to survive. I would not know how to deal with them. I've watched some videos about grizzly bears, and every time I watch them, I'm just thinking, wow, this is literally like the worst animal in the entire universe. They eat their own babies. I mean, I know some other animals do that too, but like, come on. I know that they do that because that way they can, you know, get the mama again and do the brown chicken brown cow, right? I get that. But it's grizzly bears, and I'm totally going on a tangent here. But like I said, if I come across a grizzly bear, probably I'll be coming across a grizzly bear mom, and I would just probably drop down into the fetal position and wait for it to unalive this, because I'm so scared of them. I would not know what to do. So yeah, I'm worried about them grizzlies, them brown bears. And finally, one of my biggest worries is running out of money. The West Coast is just way more expensive than the East Coast. And knowing that is a little bit frightening. There's a big difference when it comes to cost to even just food, as well as the hiking towns or the towns for resupply are a lot further away from Pacific Crest Trail trailheads. And so I am worried about the cost of food, the cost of shuttles. I'm worried about housing. I do know that the hostel situation does decrease the further north you go, having to go into hotels a lot, and it's the West Coast, so hotels are probably crazy expensive. I do have a hiking partner with whom I'm going to share this cost with, but that doesn't take away that it's gonna be super, 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 super expensive. And so it's a fear of mine. I'm really worried. I am very, very happy that I do have patrons. That is a little extra income every month. And then of course these videos do help. You literally don't have to do anything except watch my videos and survive the ads that come along with the videos, and I'll make a little bit money there as well. Without the videos and without Patreon, this would literally not be possible whatsoever. And so I think I can make it, but it is something to worry about. The last thing that I would want is to not be able to finish my hike because of money. Like, come on. So anywho, those are my fears. And I know I'm gonna get some comments, tell me how silly I am, and I am prepared. But these are my fears, it's honestly. And then, you know, maybe if when I finish the PCT, I can talk about those fears and how realistic or non-realistic they really were. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe. As I said, that's literally all you need to do. Just watch my videos and help subscribe so that way the algorithm, you know, all of that. It's so annoying to hear it from everybody, but I do have to say it. And then thanks to my patrons, thanks to everybody. Subscribe. I am so unorganized today, but thank you so much for watching. More videos to come soon.